Okay, today I'm making Russian potato and mushroom kutleti, which are kind of a croquette. And I'm starting off with 2 pounds of potatoes. And you need to peel and then cube the potatoes. And then we'll boil them. So you get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and peel the rest of the potatoes and then I'll show you how to cube them. Okay, so now you just want to cube your potatoes. That big a piece is just fine, so maybe about 1 inch thick, maybe 1 inch cubes is good. Okay, we'll pause while I chop up the rest. Okay, now that I have the potatoes peeled and cubed, I'm going to put them in the pot. Add water. Just enough to cover the potatoes. And then put it on high until they boil. And I'm going to help out my cameraman and get an inside view of the pot. All right, while the potatoes are boiling, you want to get your mushrooms and chop them up so that you have 1 cup of chopped mushrooms. And you do need to make sure that you wash the mushrooms first. They will have dirt on them. And you can definitely use the stem of the mushroom. That's absolutely fine. The only time you don't use the stem is when you're like stuffing a mushroom. And even in that case, usually you chop the stem up and use it as filling for the mushroom. So I'll just chop up my mushrooms. Kind of dice them. So maybe 1/2 inch thick slices. 1/2 to 1/4. And just do enough until you get 1 cup. So pretty close with 2 good-sized mushrooms. I'll finish that in another minute. And then you need 1/2 of an onion. At each end. Get the outer skin off. And then I want to chop this finely. I will pause it there while I continue to chop up the onions even. Okay, so now it's time to saute the onions and mushrooms, and hopefully you've had a chance to do this while your potatoes were boiling. I put about a half teaspoon of vegetable oil in my skillet already, and you want to make sure that it's hot. So I have one little tiny piece of onion in there, and you can see it sizzling. So you get the pan and the oil heated up before you put in the rest of your vegetables. So this is my half of onion that's been finely chopped. And my 1 cup of mushrooms. And I'm just going to saute these for 3 minutes. And I think I might need a little bit more oil, so I'll go ahead and put a little bit more in. You don't want to soak them in oil by any means, but you do need enough to saute them, not dry them out. Okay, so I'll let these saute for about 3 minutes until the onions start to look a little bit translucent. After you've let the potatoes boil, you can test them with a fork. Just stick a fork into one of the potatoes, and if it's tender, then you know that they're done and it's time to drain and mash the potatoes. Okay, so now that the potatoes are boiled, I'm just going to dump them into the colander. And always make sure you dump away from you so that you don't get splashed by hot water. And I'll shake these off a bit to help get the excess water off. And then I'll just dump them in my bowl. And you're just going to mash them. So this will take a few minutes. Can you see in the bowl? Can't do it there. So you'll just keep mashing them. Now that my mushrooms and onions have been sauteed, I'm going to put them in with my mashed potatoes. And I'm going to mix in half a cup of flour, salt and pepper. I'm going to put in about, it's to taste, but I'm going to put in about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'll mix this up. And then we'll shape them into patties. Alright, so let's pause it. Well, let me stir it up a minute. Alright, so we'll pause it while I keep mixing everything together. Okay, now you can see that it's all mixed together. I think when we do it, instead of 2 pounds of potatoes, I'll cut it down to 1.5 pounds of potatoes for the same amount of onions and mushrooms that we have. But there you see it's all mixed together, and I've already shaped one. To shape your patties, you just shape them about You want them a 1/2 inch thick and about the size of the palm of your hand. And then you'll put them on a plate and you'll save them in the refrigerator until tomorrow, and then tomorrow you come in and fry them. So make sure, of course, that you cover your plate with plastic wrap and label it with Preheating Kitchen. When you're shaping these, do try to keep them in even thickness so that they fry evenly. So you don't want to have them fat in the middle and thinner on the sides. So to solve that problem, just go around and squish in the sides so that they're an even 1/2 inch thickness all the way around. And you can stack them on the plate. That's okay. They're not going to stick. You can stack them and cover your plate with plastic wrap, label, and refrigerate. To fry your cutleti, heat up a pan with some oil in it. Let them fry till they're golden brown on one side, then flip them over to the other side. To bake the cutleti, you're going to put some oil on a baking sheet. And then put your cutleti in. I reread the recipe, and they actually should be shaped as ovals. I was making them more like circles yesterday. So shape them more like an oval. Make sure that they have oil on the bottom so they don't stick. And then you're also going to brush some oil on the tops of them as well. Then you'll bake these in the oven for 20 minutes, and halfway through at 10 minutes, you'll flip them over. You want them nice and golden brown on each side. Serve your cutleti with a dollop of sour cream and some dill.